Ivan Tries an O-Level by Colin Dexter. Ivan Tries an O-Level is a play dealing with crime and punishment. James Roderick Evans, the protagonist, is a jailbird. He is quite a pleasant sort of chap, an amusing person who is good at imitations. He is not a violent sort of person, but just a congenial kleptomaniac. He is a clever planner and had always escaped from the prison 3 times. Now he is taking O-level exam in German on Tuesday, 8 June. All precautions have been made to see that O-level German examination in the prison arranged for the prisoner Ivan does not provide him a means to escape from the Oxford prison. As we go through the play, we find that criminals are one step ahead of the jail authorities. Ivan makes elaborate arrangement and waits patiently for September to June to execute the plan to escape. And the revelation fills us with surprise. Who has last to laugh? The governor or Evans? In the early March, the Secretary of Examination Board received a telephonic request from Governor of Oxford Prison to create an examination centre in jail for one candidate named Ivan. He started night classes in O-level German last September. He was the only one in the class. The secretary made the other routine inquiries and promised to send all the forms and the stuff. The cell of Ivan was turned into an examination room. A parson from St. Mary's Max was to work as an invigilator. The governor did not tell the secretary that Ivan's the break had not been undressed in the maximum security establishment up north. He has escaped from the jail for 3 times, and he would have done so from Oxford prison also. The governor of Oxford prison took personal interest to see that Ivan got no chance to escape. One day prior to the examination, that is on month 7th June, Ivan's German teacher shook him by hand at 8:30 and wished him good luck. They met in the heavy guarded recreation block just across the D-wing. At 8:30 the following morning, Tuesday 8 June, Ivan had 2 visitors, Mr. Jackson and senior prison officer on D-wing, Mr. Stephens, a burly and surely looking person, only recently recruited in the profession. Mr. Jackson mockingly addressed Evans as Einstein. Evans' face was unshaven and he requested Mr. Jackson to let him shave himself. Jackson instructed Stephen to make sure that he took his razor out of the cell. Mr. Jackson told Evans that he had got half an hour to smarten himself. He asked Ivan to take off the filthy looking hat. Ivan replied that it had brought him luck in life and requested to be allowed to keep it on during the examination. At 8:45 the same morning, the Reverend Stuart McCleary left his bachelor flat in the Broad Street and stepped out briskly towards Carfax. The temperature was considerably below normal. A long black overcoat and a shallow-crowned clerical hat provided welcome protection from the steady drizzle. Which spattered the thick lenses of his spectacle. In his right hand he was carrying a small brown suitcase which contained all that he would need for this morning duties. The 2 hours examination was rescheduled to start at 9:15. The 2 small square tables were set opposite each other. 2 hard chairs were placed in front of the table. Jackson told Evans that governor himself is going to listen in. Jackson would be watching him like a hawk. He asked Ivan to keep his nose clean. Ivan nodded. He had his number 2 handkerchief lying ready on the bunk. Just before leaving the cell, Jackson wished Ivan good luck. In Little Lodge, just inside the prison main gate, the Reverend S. McCleary signed his name neatly in the visitor's book. For there he walked side by side with a silent prison officer across the exercise yard to D wing. Here he was greeted by Jackson. The wing's heavy outer door was unlocked and locked behind him. The same was done to the heavy inner door. McCleary was now to be looked after by Stephens. Stephen murmured if he had got the razor. Stephen nodded. McCleary followed Stephen to the cell where Ivan was kept. Stephen opened the peephole and found Ivan completely engrossed in a textbook of elementary German grammar. Stephen took the key from its ring and the cell lock opened. It was 9:10. The governor instructed Jackson to tell the Evans of the temporary little precaution. Governor thought Evans might try to take advantage of McCleary. Evans had been got rid of any potential weapon, but what about the innocent McCleary? He might bring a jackknife. Evans might hold him a hostage with it. The governor phoned Jackson, who lightly frisked McCleary's clothes, and he searched the content in the suitcase. He was puzzled to find a semi-flatted rubber ring. McCleary explained that he suffered from hemorrhoids when he sat down for a long time, and he found a paper knife at the bottom of the case. Very politely, he took it away. The examination started a bit late. Governor heard the voice of invigilator and the examinee. It was about 9:20. Ivan objected to the presence of Stephen as it disturbed his concentration. The governor ordered Jackson to get Stephen out of that cell, and then examination began. At 9:25, there was a great calm. At 7:40, the examination board rang through. An assistant secretary informed governor that there was a correction slip, which the dealing hand had forgotten to place it in the examination package. The governor put him straight through the Mr. Jackson in the D wing. Meanwhile, he checked whether the phone call was fake or some signal or secret message. He dialed the number of the examination board, but he heard only a staccato bleeps of a line engaged. 2 minutes later, governor heard some whispered communication in the cell. McCleary was dictating the correction. The governor had taken the German in the sixth form. He remembered all about the agreement of adjectives. Then he received a phone from magistrate's court. He needed a prison van and a couple of person officer for a remand case. For the first quarter of an hour, Stephens was dutifully peered through the peephole at the interval of 1 minute or so, and after that every 2 minutes. At 10:45 a.m., everything was still all right. Evans, with his pen between his lips, sat staring straight in the front of him towards the door, seeking some inspiration from somewhere. Opposite him sat McCleary. His hair were amateurishly clipped pretty closely to the skull. At 10:50 a.m., the receiver made a short, sharp sound. Governor realized that he had almost forgotten Evans for a few minutes. Ivan was asking if he could put a blanket round his shoulder as it was a bit chilly there. McCleary told Evans to be quick about it. And 10:51 a.m., Stephens was surprised to see a grey blanket draped around Evans' shoulder. He frowned slightly. He looked at at the examinee more closely. At 11:20, the receiver once more disturbed the silence of governor's office. McCleary informed Evans was only 5 minutes remained. The examination was almost over now, but something still gnawed awake quietly in the governor's mind. He reached for the phone once again. At 11:22 a.m., Jackson shouted along the corridors to Stephens. The governor wanted to speak with him. Stephen picked up the phone and listened to the rapidly spoken order. Stephen himself was to accompany McCleary to the main prison gates. He was to make absolutely sure that door was locked on Evans after McCleary has left the cell. At 11:25 a.m., the governor heard the final exchanges. He heard the door clang for the last time. The examination was over. Stephens walked with McCleary to the main gates. The long overcoat encouraged the illusion that he has suddenly grown slimmer. This is about the first part. Rest of the story we'll listen in the second part.